So my journey began right here in this tacky broth-looking nightclub, which also coincidentally happened to be where I lived with my 3 extremely unlikable friends. I don't really remember who this guy is because I recorded this cursed video on the day this dumpster fire of a game was released a few months ago, but I think he was offering me a briefcase of money for a or something. Now, this is the inside of my broth castle, which is one of the strangest places in the world. I mean, look at these losers going mad hard with absolutely no music playing in the background whatsoever. I guess the drugs were really good.
Hello, it's Antonio Espina.
Suddenly, I heard a knock on my door, and I knew it was Antonio Espinas. I, however, couldn't open the door until I first figured out what I looked like. I couldn't help but feel like the game was taking the piss, expecting me to believe that any of these people were capable of becoming a criminal mastermind responsible for murdering a few million people by the end of this video and running the biggest criminal organization in the country. Either way, I obviously chose this nerd so I could try and make a 47-looking character for clickbait purposes. I thought about turning him into a human lollipop, then into a human hamburger, but finally pumped my dude full of roids and made him jacked. I then made myself revoltingly shiny, then gave myself some ginormously big boobas. Hold on, wait, what? And with so many great hairstyles to choose from, it was really hard to just pick one. Just kidding. Pretty much every single one of them made me want to blow my own brains out. Eventually, however, I settled on this. I am so ugly. Next, it was time to crack out the trusty old hammer and chisel and get to making this video's nightmare fuel. Also, I just felt like somehow things wouldn't be complete without using that hammer and chisel to shatter my own teeth. Wow, what a smile. Colgate, you looking to sponsor anyone? And just like that, the greatest Giga Chad dropkick that the world had ever seen. And now after making this poor bastard wait outside my office for what was approximately 2.5 hours of creating this steaming pile of trash, I was ready to make my debut. I also felt like my uncomfortably silent party was the perfect opportunity for a sick new Instagram story, bro. Also, how great is my voice?
If you know how to shoot a gun or if you're broke and want to learn how, swing by the church. We'll be waiting for you.
But just when I was really starting to get turnt, I was tossed into an empty grave and buried alive. But let me give this story some context first. Who am I? How did I manage to bury myself alive? And more importantly, why did I forget to take my iPhone with me? So many questions that I just don't have the answers to. But what I do know is that it all started here many days or years ago. Matter of fact, it was so long ago that my gang didn't even exist yet. I was a mercenary for hire, working for some crap security company in, I don't know, Las Vegas, Nevada. My duties included shooting people in the head, shooting people in the head, and shooting people in the dick. As luck would have it, however, I was paid a very large sum of Robux to capture a Mexican ninja that nobody else had been able to capture. Rumor had it that he had a magic mustache and that it smelled of cinnamon and vanilla. He, however, was a crafty ninja and threw his pubic hair trimmer at my face to distract me so he could make his escape. Then, when I finally caught up to him, he'd already hijacked one of our UFOs and was preparing for takeoff. Immediately, I leapt into action, using my big brain power to grab the grappling hook off the back of my truck and somehow hook it onto the spaceship MacGyver style. Look at me, I'm flying! Whee! Or at least I was. Until I hit that snag. But it was fine though, because it gave me the perfect opportunity to zipline my way from the truck to the craft, which I did with the finesse of a spider, with one big middle leg. Unfortunately, however, the takeover attempt that in my head seemed like the perfect plan didn't exactly go the way that I was expecting it to. He beat the crap out of me, then got me in a headlock, and somehow seemed to forget the cardinal rule of commandeering a UFO, which is never take your hands off the steering wheel while it's flying in the sky, you stupid dickhead. My homies had my back though and pointed their water pistols at the bad guy and made him take off all of his clothes before throwing him into jail and surrounding him with endless bars of soap. With my hard day's work done and dusted, I headed back home to eat pie with my revolting hipster friends. Yes, this is what Saints Row has become in 2022, and I want to die. I do have a pretty sick gun though that I like to hang on my hat rack because I don't have a hat. But you know what? For a bunch of completely broke 40-year-old high school students, we were happy. But we were broke. And we were very unhappy. So naturally, the only thing that made sense in that moment was to go to the local convenience store, kill everyone, and steal all the milk. Who the bloody hell thought a team full of hipsters was ever going to be a good idea in Saints Row? Either way, when we got inside, we noticed that Robert De Niro was the salesman, and this wasn't even a convenience store. So we left because there was no milk to steal. And because I didn't pay for the nice succulent Chinese meal I ate earlier that day at the Golden Balls restaurant, the police were mad and they hunted me down relentlessly through the desert. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, things were looking bad, and I was pretty sure I was going to be dropping the soap every day for the rest of my life in prison. That is until my hipster buddy came in her flying car, pushed over a ginormous billboard, and crushed all the police under it. Yep. Saints Row really is this stupid. Funnily enough, however, and rather befitting for a jacked bald maniac, my iPhone had some rent-a-hitman application on it that was offering anyone in the region a measly $5,000 to take down these two meth heads. But being the stickler for justice that I am, I stole the nearest limousine and got ready to deliver judgment vigilante style. I found the meth lab cleverly concealed inside of a caravan and connected it up to my utility truck, which I also kind of stole. And I'm not gonna lie, it was surprisingly good at trashing public property, which I'm so against. I swear. But when I was done leveling every structure in the vicinity, I hopped out of my truck and went full Scarface on the caravan, making it become BFFs with my little friend. Bye-bye, meth heads. I still didn't have a gang yet, though, and everywhere I went, I saw other gangs, which only amplified the big feeling of emptiness that I had between my legs. So, the only solution that made any sense was obviously cracking out my AK and turning this bad day into a good day, yay yay. Also, the people in this town, yeah, they shouldn't have driver's licenses. Any of them. Regardless, it was now nighttime again, and I just so happened to have a shift with the rent-a-mercenary company, guarding something valuable at the local museum while the rich people of this turd-guzzling hellhole ate canapes and drank champagne. It was just then, while I was enjoying a nice succulent Chinese meal with a cowboy and this thick grandma, that gangsters busted through the wall. Big mistake, criminales. I know Kung Fu. Now, it wasn't just the orange gangster guys that were trying to steal the Necronomicon book thing I was meant to be protecting, but also the ping-ahead rave guys. And I was surprisingly good at making them backflip on command. Being a museum, however, it was of the utmost importance that caution was used so as not to damage any of the priceless and irreplaceable exhibits that the museum was housing. I obviously didn't get that memo and proceeded to completely decimate every single thing in the entire building. It was a surprisingly liberating experience that may have given me a semi-chub-chub. But with everyone now dead and my minigun from the future slowly winding down, it seemed like the threat had now been neutralized. The magic book had been secured and everything was right in the world once more. Or was it?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
The angry cowboy yelled at me for my reckless behavior and told me to take off my pants and go back to Rent-a-Mercenary HQ for a proper spanking. The spanking was rough and my ass was sore. I was so depressed and miserable though, and I felt like the only thing that could possibly make me feel better was some mindless spending on the Home Shopping Network. They were advertising some pretty fancy knives that looked like they were capable of cutting someone, and they were also really cheap. So I bought like 1 million of them. Meanwhile, however, in another part of town, at the local disco, everyone was going hard to the music that didn't actually exist. When suddenly the orange guys came barging in, shooting up the joint and demanding an immediate dance battle. Pussycat Man rocked up too, wearing a backpack, which could only mean one thing. He was prepared for a picnic. But then I came dashing out of the shadows in my undies like a real man, guns blazing, and Pussy Man immediately knew that he didn't stand a chance. Both gangs tried to chase us down as we made our escape, but fortunately, or unfortunately for them, I was packing a rocket launcher in my jockstrap. Boom, boom, bitch. As we busted back into our apartment and proceeded to celebrate our victory by drinking shots out of our mate's bullet wound, we had a moment of clarity and unanimously agreed that the best way to avoid future incidences such as this was to create our own gang and kill all of the others. Firstly, however, we needed to do some brainstorming. And seeing as how all four of us were practically brain dead, we decided to put all of our brains together, which gave us approximately a quarter of an actual brain. We came up with name, logo, base. Genius! There was an old abandoned building that we thought would make a good base of operations, but was also a hotspot for losers taking selfies. So we busted caps in all of them and blew the rest up. And now that they were all dead, the building was ours, and it was time to get our criminal empire up and running, baby. Not gonna lie though, it made me awfully depressed to see the caliber of people that were willing to join our gang. Watching them, however, twerk and crap to no music whatsoever filled me with determination.
Oh, good, baby.
Determination to get everyone killed. As we all looked at the regional map, however, we realized two things that needed to be addressed. Well, three. The first one was my hat was awesome. The second was that if we were to become criminal overlords of whatever this place was called, we'd need to take over the vast majority of the map and turn everything into some kind of illegal money-generating operation. The third thing was that to be the leader of the world's greatest crime syndicate, I needed to look like the leader of the world's greatest crime syndicate. And right now, I just look like Captain Barbecue. Now, I'd never bought anything from this clothing shop before, but somehow I just knew that this was going to be the place that would transform me into the criminal overlord I was always meant to be. Da-da. While I was becoming the ultimate criminal mastermind, however, Pussycat Man was exacting his revenge on my douchebag of a friend, who was only trying to figure out which cheese to buy. Such a criminal mastermind thing to be messaging about. I hate this game. Kill me now. The reality was, however, that there was no way I could build this criminal empire without my loser friends. And so, I went to the rescue once more. This time in heels. And a sombrero. And after literally cracking the skulls of everyone in the bar, I discovered that he was being held captive atop the Santo Ileso sign. So I took to the skies and wingsuited my way over there, and then face planted directly onto the rocky ground below. After rescuing him and cutting him free, I slingshotted myself back into the air and flew my way to freedom. Later that evening, my inside man, Jackie Chan's cousin, Jackie Jan, told me that the nearby food truck was being used as a front for an illegal drug distribution chain. Obviously, this meant money, and I liked money. I also needed a new bikini. I cracked out the old AK, then proceeded to put hand grenades in the underpants of all the razor wire wrapped baseball bat wielding grandmas protecting the food truck. Grandma with grenade in pants go boom. It soon became apparent that the entire nursing home was in on this drug distribution chain because they just kept on coming. More and more of them, and let me tell you, kicking this much ass and heels at a miniskirt is bloody hard work. Still, I got the job done, and I was now one step closer to becoming the ultimate criminal overlord and the king of the sausage. Now, there was no denying that I looked great in high heels, nor could anyone deny the oxygenating benefits that a hooker-esque miniskirt had on one's junk. But the amount of attention I was getting from horny MILFs looking for romance in your area was making it hard for me to focus on my number one goal. And my number one goal was becoming the greatest criminal kingpin guy that ever lived. And it wasn't until I put on these black pants, black shoes, black gloves, white button-up shirt, red tie, and took off the stupid hat and sunglasses that I finally felt like the killer I always knew I could be. This outfit also really brought out that rich guy, big dick energy from within. I looked like a badass. I felt like a badass. I wasn't a badass, but that's still 2 out of 3. Now, our empire was growing faster than ever. And sure, we dabbled a little bit in radioactive waste dumping here and there, but I had my tinfoil hat on, so everything was fine. Well, I mean, it was fine for me, but not so much for this guy who couldn't seem to get over, over the little rock that was in front of his front tire. At the end of the day, though, despite being the leaders of the most ruthless criminal organization in the history of man, we were just normal people like everyone else, and we like to unwind after a hard day of killing with some good old-fashioned Jumanji. It was around this point in the story, though, that we decided the only way we were going to be able to lay waste to all of the other gangs in town was if we broke into prison and rescued the Mexican ninja from the start of this video, and then made him join our crew. So that's just what we did. I wingsuited in from my helicopter straight onto the prison roof, or at least that's what I was meant to do, but it didn't go according to plan, as usual. But fortunately, it looked like nobody knew I got the sack for completely destroying the museum, so they just let me walk around the prison without so much as raising an eyebrow. But as I hurriedly sprinted my way to the isolation chamber to break out the ninja and set him free, I immediately realized that he probably didn't need my help. Together, we were the dream team. We were unstoppable. Me on the wheel and him on the turret, and boy oh boy, did we make Tony Hawk look like an amateur. Later that day, after completing the greatest prison break in human history, we stopped off at the local Macca's for a big fat thick shake and to discuss the latest and greatest conspiracy theories as seen on the Joe Rogan podcast. Things got deep quick though, and I was immediately questioning my existence and asking myself, why weren't we all falling off the edge of the earth considering it was flat? As the ninja got up to leave, I told him that a simple handgun would probably be as, if not even more efficient than the 300 knives he had hanging off his fancy cowboy outfit, and that he was probably an accident and his parents definitely hated him. My parents hated me too though, so it was all good, baby, and before long the Mexican ninja was part of the family. My wanker friend Kevin even gave him a cringy hat so he could dress up just like a millennial too. Hell, we all got so close that by the end of the week we were performing train heists together. But I'm just gonna say it, the way he effortlessly twirled a Bowie knife around in his fingers made me eerily uncomfortable, and I couldn't help but feel like one day that knife was going to be inside of me. Anyway, we boarded the train by means of hoverbike and stole a tank, and then shot the crap out of everything. It was absolutely awesome. Bang, 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 skrrr, boom, 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 bang, 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 bang. Then, despite the heist not going exactly according to plan, we still managed to successfully derail it and kill everyone on board. We also recovered every last dollar, which was conveniently pre-packaged inside of nice, easy-to-carry duffel bags. A job well done. And I don't know about you guys, but what better way to celebrate a successful heist than with a money fight? Wow, I wish I was dead. Also, after robbing the money train, the cowboy in charge of it was called in to answer to his superior. The only thing was that now, due to me being so filthy, rotten rich and having bought out basically every single business in the land, I was his superior. Plot twist. Suck it. He didn't know that either, which made the face reveal that much more satisfying. To fire him for his incompetence or to just shoot him in the face in front of everybody. Hard call to make. Not. Anyway, our HQ was pretty hectic now, and it looked like some kind of royal palace straight out of Agrabah. We were now the largest crime syndicate on planet Earth, and there was little left for us to conquer or steal. All that was left to do now was to pick things up from where this video actually started and find out what truly happened that fateful night at the silent discotheque. Much to my surprise, however, Mr. Handlebars was actually able to make it to the party, which made me all kinds of warm and fuzzy inside. Or maybe that was just the ginormous knife that he shoved into my arm. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I ended up buried alive without my iPhone. A punishment worse than death. Being the biggest, baddest crime syndicate pindick overlord guy meant nothing anymore. All I wanted now was revenge. Though admittedly, I was pretty happy to see that he'd managed to kill everyone in my gang for me. Maybe this guy wasn't so bad after all. Maybe we could be friends again. Maybe I'll just shoot him in the dick. Maybe I had anger issues and needed therapy. Nah.